Seems like the housing market might be a little confused here. Purchases of new single-family homes absolutely beat expectations by a landslide, coming in at a month-over-month gain of 7.2%. The expectation there was only 0.7%. Of course, this still left sales down about 19.4% year over year, and this was fueled primarily by purchases in the South. Now, sales in the South, which is the largest U.S. region, jumped by 17.1% last month, which is the highest annualized pace in nearly a year. All of the other regions declined, including the largest decline in the Northeast, coming in at 19.4%. So this is a pretty clear indication that we are in a bifurcated market. You have one area that is holding up rather nicely while all of the others are seeing declines. The majority of the uptick that we've seen in new home sales are happening in the South. So it may be fair to say that housing is still somewhat affordable despite the higher mortgage rates that we're seeing here today. But this boost in sales may be temporary because you can see that just over a month ago, the average 30-year fixed mortgage rate was sitting at about 5.99%. And since then, mortgage rates have shot up about 100 basis points. At the time of this recording, we're sitting at about 6.875%. Home buyers may also be flocking to new construction since existing homes that are already listed on the market are getting harder and harder to come by. And the reason is because we've seen this recent run up in mortgage rates. So that some of these potential sellers are disincentivized from actually bringing their property to market because they're locked into such a low rate. I read a statistic that 70% of existing homeowners have a mortgage rate that's around 3%, which of course would be very hard to let go. And then one thing that you have to consider is that home builders have a product that they need to sell. They're not in the business of building and retaining properties. So for them, it is a business decision. They remove the emotion out of it and they're just strictly looking at the numbers and their margin. And this, of course, is one of the reasons we're starting to see new home prices come down and builders offer up all sorts of incentives. Now, despite the year-over-year reduction in transactions and some of the price decreases, home builder confidence as well as home buyer confidence has actually risen. This could be a sign that peak mortgage rates are behind us, or at least that is the way the market is interpreting it. Or perhaps this is a sign that the housing market is beginning to even out and find a bottom. It's important to remember that new home purchases only accounts for about 10% of the overall market. And those are actually calculated when the contracts are signed, not when the deal closes escrow. So they are considered a timelier barometer over purchases of existing homes because existing homes are calculated when we close escrow. Now, existing home sales fell for the 12th straight month, which is extending a record decline here in the month of January. But one thing that we want to pay very close attention to is the amount of canceled contracts with those new home sales. We're going to want to see if that rise in interest rates impacts that at all, or if they hold steady. As I mentioned, existing home sales are down dramatically from their peak in the spring of 2022. The total existing home sales were sitting right at about 6 million units annually, and now we are currently sitting at about 4 million units on an annualized basis. Pending home sales still remain low. While we did see that big uptick in new home sales, we're sitting at about 670,000 units annualized for new home sales, and that's the highest level that we've seen since March of 2022. Median home prices are falling for both new and existing homes. We have the median new home price coming in at $427,000 with existing at $359,000. And you can see that the gap between these are closing. So home builders are having to reduce their price despite not wanting to, I'm sure. Home builders generally do not want to reduce their price. It's the last thing they look at doing. In fact, generally speaking, they will offer incentives like design credits or closing cost credits to help upgrade the property or help a borrower get into the home with less money down before they'll actually reduce their price. But all of the pressure that they're seeing with the reduction in transactions is causing them to not only have to make those concessions, but also have to reduce their price. So if you are a potential home buyer in this market, it may pay to look at new construction because you might be in a position where you can negotiate a really good price with really good terms. Now that's going to wrap it up for today's video. I hope you found the information useful. If you are new to the channel, you like all things housing, please consider liking and subscribing. We'll see you on the next video. Take care.